In the very early years of Yuletide at Winterthur, which dates back to the 1970s, the displays really focused on the 18th and early 19th century, based on the collections of Winterthur. We kind of run the gamut. As I mentioned, the Krimmel tree, we call it the Krimmel tree. It's the one based on a sketch by John Lewis Krimmel. That's the earliest known illustration of a Christmas tree in America, and that's the tree that really is focusing on the children as a means of distributing gifts. The ribbon display is great fun, documented by a letter to the editor of St. Nicholas magazine that was written in 1876. And the author said that for those people who were tired of the old-fashioned way of distributing Christmas gifts via the stocking or the tree, her method was to put up this spider's web. People would come in and they would find their ribbons and they would travel along to collect all their presents. Mr. DuPont, of course, was a great horticulturist, loved the conservatory here, and this was the heart of his Christmas show, in that he would always have a large Christmas tree in here, decorated with colored lights, and what we today would consider a traditional tree with glass ornaments, but always banked by some type of elaborate floral display. And since he had many greenhouses, over 20 greenhouses on the property, he could pretty much get what he wanted at the time of year that he wanted it and guarantee that it would be in bloom. So he could have quite a spectacular display. Winterthur was always where Christmas occurred for the DuPont family. They had several residences, but they were always back at Winterthur for Christmas and went to church on Christmas Eve over at Christ Church, and they would have a holiday party on Christmas Eve as well in the afternoon that was for all of the staff to come to, and all of the DuPont's guests and all of the family members. It was a huge affair because everybody who was on the property, and there were a couple hundred people who lived at Winterthur, would be part of this celebration. People who celebrated Christmas with the DuPonts over the years told us of a Christmas Eve tradition, that before dinner there was the caviar ritual, as they referred to it, where people would go into a room that was set aside and sit at tables with guests with whom they would not be sitting at dinner. So it was a chance to get to know different members of the party. And they would be served martinis and vast quantities of caviar. In this space we have a reference again to how the DuPonts celebrated Christmas when they lived at Winterthur in the 1930s and 40s. Their custom was that each person who would be with them for Christmas had a basket put underneath the Christmas tree, and the basket had that person's name on it on a tag, and all the gifts for an individual would be put into his basket. And then on Christmas afternoon the baskets would be brought inside and placed by chairs, and when people came in after lunch, they found their basket and opened up their Christmas presents.